webinar, answering some questions here. So I see a lot of people are trading gold, GJ longs. Can you break down EU? I don't trade EU, bro, so I'm not gonna break down EU. I haven't traded EU in years. What indicators do you use and why? Mainly, I just use the moving averages, and that's just to kind of give me a little bit of a bias on what side has more volume right now. But typically, I mainly focus on price. I'm actually probably going to get rid of one of my indicators. Probably going to get rid of not one of my indicators, one of my moving averages. So we'll see how that goes. I still need to do some testing and stuff before getting rid of an indicator, because typically I use an indicator for two things: to determine what side has more volume, the trend, and different areas where we could see a pullback too. What indicators you use? Shall I use the same ones?
Yeah, I use the 20 SMA and the 50 SMA. That's it. Simple.
How long do you hold the position on US30? I mean, that's kind of irrelevant how long I hold the position on US30 for. What's, it just depends on the move. Every move is going to be different. Like GJ, I hold this GJ trade for a few days. What's your minimum stop loss on gold? I don't really, it depends on the setup itself and what time frame I'm taking that setup based off of. I can have a 25 pip stop. I can also have a 60 pip stop. Has New York session been better than London recently? I mean, there's been big moves on both. Do you see gold as gambling because of its kind of moves? You could gamble on any pair, really. If you don't have like a real risk management system in place, and you're kind of just gambling. It's more probabilistic gambling. Do you recommend me institutional trading? You don't have, the thing for retail traders is we don't have access to institutional tools and an institutional team. So, when you hear somebody saying, oh, I trade like an institution, they're capping. You don't have the capital to trade like an institution. So people trade very differently. How come rich people like you buy cars and pay monthly? What's the benefit of it? Let me put this in a perspective, right? So my SVJ cost 700. Well, I bought it for $700,000. It costs way more now, but at the time when I bought it, it cost me $700,000. Instead of cashing out the car and putting $700,000 of just straight cash and liquid into the car itself, where it's most likely going to depreciate. Well, the SVJ, I saw it as a semi-investment because I'm not going to go into the details of that, right? I didn't see it as a big depreciating asset, but that's besides the point, right? Let's say I put $250,000 down and I have an extra $500,000 left over. And let's just say my monthly payment is, I don't know, $5,000 a month. If I could put my money I don't know why I'm stuttering. If I can put my money in a vehicle that's going to consistently produce, like let's say I put in a trading account where I can consistently produce, I don't know, even 1% a month, that's going to cover the cost of the monthly payment of the car, and I'm making my money make more money. It doesn't really make sense to buy those things in cash. Anyways, let's get on to more trading related questions. Curious, any questions for Chow? Since he is one of my top students, he is my youngest student who you made what, $25,000 in a week?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
He's 18 years old. So you see, I would turn on my webcam, but like I'm comfortable right now. I'm shirtless. I'm not trying to, do all that. Question, what's the best way to get your skill up? Chow, when did you start trading?
So I started trading 2018, May 2018. So about 3.5 years now. And I started with Raul, actually. Like the first course ever was with Raul. So I've been with Raul since the beginning. Like everything that I know, I learned from you. So let's see all the questions.
Someone asked, when did you start to get profitable?
Profitable around after the second year mark. It was when I started seeing the break-even stage, and then now it's the consistency, profitable.
How is it that you find consistency as a trader and break down the markets better? Really with experience.
With experience, it's with experience. Everything's experience. Chart time. It's literally chart time.
Yes, literally chart time. Do you teach your students from the very basics of Forex? Yes, in the new course, yes. let's go over. Hello, Brett. Hello, many blessings, bro. How do you feel about order blocks? Order blocks is the same terminology as supply and demand. You guys got to keep in mind, like when people are using like fancy words like order blocks, or you hear any like things such as like areas of liquidity, it's also supply and demand. It's literally also supply and demand. People just repackage things and reword things to sell them differently, right? So you think it's a different product, but it's all the same thing. How long are you going to hold the GJ longs? Are there any news for New York sessions? The thing is, right, if you're going to ask me a question like, are there any news for New York sessions? You could just simply go on Forex Factory and, check for yourselves. We literally checked news and there's no news for GBP or JPY. The JPY news already happened at the 230 mark, which we just surpassed. So we're fine with that. How long do I plan on holding my gold longs for? It depends. If you look at the 5-minute structure or my GJ longs for, that's right. If you look at the 5-minute market structure on GJ, this is the current 5-minute structure. This is our current 5-minute structure lower high point or a higher low point. So if price breaks this 156 to 83 higher low point, then I'm going to close my positions. But what we're waiting for is something that we were discussing, is that we want to see for price to actually continue to trade higher. We need to see price close above this lower high point here on this 4-hour time frame. If price can successfully close above there, we may see a little pullback and then a continuation higher, which, then we have to see what's going to happen in this gray zone here, which again is another level of support and resistance where the price clearly had some indecision and struggled to break through last time, where we had an immediate rejection and then it ended up breaking through. But volume is holding pretty strong as of right now. Let's just kind of wait and see what happens over the next few hours. There's going to be an hour and 12 minutes until this 4-hour candlestick closes. So let's wait and see. Are you going to be teaching the basics for the trading institution? How do we learn the basics from YouTube? No, I'm going to teach literally everything from what a pip is to going down to creating your own trading plan. Like I'll drop more information on that when, we're getting closer to the launch date and everything else. What's the lowest time frame you use? The 5-minute time frame. What time frames would you prefer to analyze on, to do your analysis on if you're a swinger? I'm a beginner. Since I have a 9 to 5, I want to focus on swing trading. Really, I'd be focusing on the daily time frame. I'd be focusing on the weekly, the daily, the 4-hour, and the hour. I'd be looking at the hour time frames for your internal structure, and then the 4-hour time frames for your entries and overall directions. That's how I would take a more swing trade approach to that situation there. How long would it say it takes for someone to become profitable? I mean, everyone has a different, time span of how long they become profitable. Can you go over gold? Sure. Now, the thing with gold, I'm still very indecisive on gold. So if we look at gold on the weekly time frame, it's been week after week after week that price has failed to close under this daily 1795 level. If you go to the daily time frame, you could see right here that we have supply and demand throughout this entire zone here. So as of right now, we're trading above it, which I was looking for buys earlier on today, but I missed out on the move. So I would like to see what happens here at 1806. If price obviously breaks above 1806, I'll wait for the retest, confirm that this level of resistance now holds as support, and then I'll look to take price higher to about 1830. If we get a rejection, then I'm going to be looking for price to come back down into the 1786 to 1795 range. But as of right now, there's really nothing to do on gold other than just simply wait. So you trade based off support and resistance, right? But favorite setup is break and retest. No, I wouldn't say my favorite setup is a break and retest. That's a setup I could spot the easiest, but I wouldn't say it's like my favorite setup. Any tips on improving the probability mindset, removing words from your vocabulary such as I know or price will, right? You want to take an approach to the market as an if and then thought process, right? What about indices? Do you trade indices? Did I read that right? Yes. I'm a little bit on the fence. I do see NAS potentially going short I would like to look to go short anywhere between this gray zone here. Anything above that, it's I wouldn't be looking to go short, but as long as price maintains under this gray zone, I could definitely look to take a short position just because of the weekly time frame and how that's forming. I'd be interested to see on how that plays out. Also, there's been already 2 rejections of the highs. So I'd like to see how this plays out here as well on NAS. If I were to look to go short, I'd probably look to take price of 155 or 15,536. US 30, same thing. Price broke right back under the all-time highs on the daily time frame. Big bearish engulfing candlestick. Probably look for a retest on 35,600. Look to go short there unless it closes above. I'm not very keen on actually, trading US 30 right now. The best for indices that I see right now is NAS. That's for sure. Do you sell courses? No, not right now. I feel like I can't hold positions for long because sometimes it goes reversal from profit to stop loss. What do you think? What do you think? Or you need to swing from low to high, vice versa. Thanks, Raul. I mean, in a situation where you're looking to hold your positions for as long as possible, like really that just comes down to chart time. The more you trade, the more experience you get, the more you'll be able to hold your positions for longer. You'll know when to get out, when not to get out. Also, not being emotionally attached to your current profit is also a big thing, because there's been days where I'm up $25,000, $30,000 and I have to close out at a $15,000 gain just because the way I throw my stops is all based off of market structure. So that's how I would do things. Chow, somebody asked you a question. How did you get your trading capital?
Oh, I started with funded accounts. My trading capital is funded. I trade funded accounts only at the moment. That's where you have the most leverage on your money when you trade funded accounts.
Chow, can you talk about your breakthrough moment from beginning break even to profitable?
So breakthrough moment is just I showed up every day to the market. Like even when there was no results, no profits, I showed up to the market day after day after day after day. I learned something new every single day. And actually I was only focused on myself. I wasn't focusing on anybody else, because there's on Instagram you can see everyone's making it, but that's not a reality. So if you focus on your own path and just try to show up every day, eventually that's will break, and that's when you're gonna have a breakthrough moment. You're doing things right. And toughest thing about being funded, it's actually keeping the account. Not the easiest part is getting the account, if you ask me. Now the hardest part is keeping the consistency. Now that you have real money in the market that you actually can make lots of amounts of money, that's when it gets hard. That's when your psychology takes a hit on funded accounts. And how do you calculate your risk and all your loss had to use? I use my FXbook position cost calculator. It's free, very useful. And how long are you going to hold GA longs as there's news for New York? The GA longs, the news are for USD. There's no GBP or JPY news.
This is USD
in New York session. How do you manage your psychology when you put on a trade? Do you monitor the chart? Yeah, I monitor the chart, and try not to look at P&L. That's the most important part. Try to look at the candlesticks, because that's what the important information is. It's on the candlesticks, not at your P&L.
Yeah, facts. Cuando Raúl y Chao podcast en español. Fun. Can you break down GJ? Sure. So the main reason for taking this position on GJ and why I've been trading GJ the way I have been, where I've only been looking to buy GJ, is because we broke through these. I don't want to call them all-time highs, because really, if you just zoom out on the chart, you'll see all-time highs for GJ was almost 200,000, right? But definitely all-time highs since 2018. We've broken through these all-time highs. So I'm expecting price to continue to really push higher. Main reason though, again, it all comes down to the basics of supply and demand, where there's buying pressure and where there's selling pressure. At one point in time, there was selling pressure here. At another point in time, there was selling pressure here. Now that buyers have actually broken above these all-time highs, the probability of buyers to try and maintain that level that they've already broken above is going to be a lot higher then price is continuing to trade lower, even though again, the probability for that to happen is still there, right? It's a simple, in this situation, it's a simple break and retest setup. Now, if you go on the daily time frame, you look at the daily, we see we had an initial rejection here. Price came up, almost hit the initial highs here on the daily time frame, and came right back down, retested, closed above, came down again, retested where we took some entries, formed this nice double bottom. And what I'm waiting for now is to see really if the 4-hour time frame can close above. The 4-hour time frame can close above this high here at 156,400, then I'll continue to hold my position, and then I'll have to wait and see what happens at 156,728. Worst case scenario, I make money on this trade because it's already at a point where I'm in profit, even if I move my stops to break even, or I could move my stops way higher than break even. The only thing is I would like to see price maintain above this 5-minute market structure higher low point. As long as we can maintain above that, I'll continue to hold my positions. Once we start breaking under this, I'm going to close my positions and take my profit. Just because again, the probability for price to come all the way back down to here is a lot higher, since the 5-minute would have broken structure at that point in time. But now we've broken above the moving averages, and then we have this double bottom pattern formation. It's kind of just like a waiting game at this point in time. There's an hour and 3 minutes for the 4-hour candlestick to close. So have to wait and see. Definitely not trying to be greedy here. Just because I see price, have this triple bottom type of pattern here doesn't mean it will go up, but the probability is in my favor. And more importantly, I'm just trying to protect my capital at the end of the day, and the profit I'm already in. Hi, Chow. Just out of curiosity, would you go to college? Thanks, bro.
Yeah, spring 2022. And let's see. What else?
What are your confluences before taking a trade? The main one is spotting if we're trading at a level of support or if we're trading at a level of resistance. Because if we're trading at a level of support, that gives me a good area to where I know where to place my stop loss at. If we're trading at a level of resistance, it's the same thing. I have a good area to place my stop loss. Whether, if you're just taking a trade like here, your stop loss has to go above the nearest resistance. Because you can think about support and resistance, or supply and demand, as areas where you're going to be able to protect your stop loss, and your stop loss has a low probability of getting hit because you're buying at those areas or selling at those areas, basically. But yeah, guys, so just kind of wanted to do a quick Q&A here. I'm gonna
This
stop.
question, how do you decide what time for trade? Me and Raul, we personally go off, we do top-down analysis. So we start from the monthly to the weekly to daily, see how H4 is moving, then we take our entries on the lower time frame, which is like M15, M30. That's that.
Basically.